That's it.
Taylor Lodge.
Ready?
Yeah, I fixed it. I fixed it. Don't worry about it. You probably could have changed it while you were in.
I tried, it would not let me.
So you want to lead it or are we just here for the 95,000?
Yes.
Because we
Oh,
went
I'm
through the
sorry.
budget, right? I mean, we
Forgot
didn't
about
think there's any questions there. But yeah, it's 95,000 for that additional truck, which we would have to take out of Cume Cap. But, you know, and it'd be a show of hands tonight, I guess.
Yeah, it's a consensus because we have not advertised it, and what fund would you want me to take it out?
I'm thinking Cume Cap.
That's the one you had
Yeah, I
on
mean,
the
that's-
next, at the last meeting and broke down that to redo, the work on this one, get it done, work on this winter.
I mean, that would,
That's enough money for us to buy the chassis that we're looking for, to buy the dump body and the wet kit, and then whatever it would take to retrofit that truck to make it work, so.
That's a money saver there.
Yeah, I'm okay. It's gonna get cheaper.
No, that's a good plan.
I mean, we kind of had roughly budgeted in Cume Cap. I don't know if that, you know,
I'll advertise it for the September meeting.
so.
Okay.
Is there anyone, you want to have some discussion on this anymore, or?
Thanks for saving us money. Thanks for, looking for deals and making these trucks work. I think you're got less in this than one chassis alone would be. Thank you.
Yeah, this makes a lot of sense.
Okay, so let's have a show of hands. Who's approved the 95,000? Okay.
Have a fun winter project.
Thank you. Yeah.
That's always a good
I
job.
think they're looking forward to getting into it.
I missed what did you think you might have something for the 4-H down the road, or I missed what you said?
I think so. The truck that we were planning on trading, I think it's got around 240 or 50,000 miles now. But if they're making, they're not going to be putting the mileage that we put on it in a year. I think it probably would serve them well for quite
Was
a
it
while.
a 1 ton or what is it?
It's we can haul 8 tons, 7.5 tons. It's a 30,000 pound chassis, so it's. I let them borrow one of ours when the other truck broke down, and they loved it. Just they can haul a little bit more and a little heavier duty. I think they got done pretty quick, and I think their equipment can reach over. So it worked well for them, and I think this would be a good one for them.
Cool. Well, thanks for helping that too. So.
That was fast. We just met.
We just met them today. That's why we talked about it. We didn't know, but we just thought it'd be a good idea.
Yeah, so she called me here a couple hours ago, and we talked about it a little bit. But yeah, that's something we can all talk about together.
Cool. Great.
So,
Thanks.
Thank you for coming in this evening. The next thing I have here is
take care.
Thank
you.
additional appropriation for St. Charles Annex Maintenance, $3,350.
Sorry. Normally that WIC maintenance fund, as Scott needs things, he requests it. Next year, we're gonna put a budget for it. Remember, we talked about that the other day, but, this is first thing Scott needs out there.
Okay.
Did you say what is it for?
I don't remember, to be honest with you. I can look here. I don't have a note,
I don't see a problem with it. You know,
but it can only be used for the maintenance of that
fund is
building.
out there. I'll make a motion if we go, unless there's further discussion, I'll make a motion.
I'll second the
With
motion.
the $3,350 for additional appropriation for maintenance for St. Charles Annex maintenance.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? The ones all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay. And then, if you want to explain the salary, I'll give you time here. Rushing you around there.
People are texting saying they can't hear, so I'm trying to respond and see if they can now.
Sorry about that.
No, that's not your fault. Yes, they can. Okay, good. we talked about this the other day when, the other day we talked about with Stuart, how their surcharge money is depleting, and he's got extra money in the line items in his general fund budget because they didn't have people in those positions. So he wants to pay an extra person out of the general fund to help use some of that money down to save some of the surcharge money. So the resolution, the amendment to the salary ordinance I have is to pay one extra person out of there. They had 8, now they want 9 out of there just until the end of the year for that purpose. So I have on here that whatever the officers, they make $1,940 biweekly, then we'll use this money for that, and that's what I just explained.
Any discussion on this?
But then that ninth person would go back.
It'll go
funded
back
out
to
of that
yes.
911. Okay, I see, right.
We're just trying to save a little bit of the funds
Mhm.
in the fund that's depleting faster than it's making.
So, you know, made a motion to, Doug has made a motion to the salary ordinance, and Meredith is second for the discussion. Once all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So then we're on to the 2025 budget. I did reach out to the 4-H, Ryan and I both sat down in a meeting today, and I think it was kind of a misunderstanding of what the, is required by the 4-H to help offset the cost or share the cost with the park, county park, the West County Park. So, what we ask for is a budget for the, a budget for this year for 2024 and for 2025. And then, they're gonna give us a settlement then in their fiscal year ends in October 1st or September 30th. So they will make sure that that's settled at that point. So everything's above board. It's just the chief, their person failed to give the breakdown of when she sent the 2023 funds. So I think the park director did not know what the money was for, but she gave me a copy. I got a copy of the check. I think I passed it around here. I think everybody agreed with that. So I don't see, I think it's just a misunderstanding, and they were, naturally they were very gracious with us this morning, and they said they'll do anything. They had their accountant, their accounting or treasurer now. So, if you guys have any other questions, otherwise
No.
it seems above board here, everything, and we'll move on with that.
Yeah.
On the other question we had is the 911 communications explanation. I think there was some talk about, or we discussed some, the agreement or the line item in our budget. It was it was for fund 03010304 for $132,000. With that, I asked for a breakdown from Stuart, the communications director, and that was on page 16 in the budget books. What he gave me, the portion that went up is the advanced radio from quote that he had, and he put that pretty good explanation in his email to us at our budget hearing. He broke it down, and we went back through it, but he moved $1,800 from into this line item from 0401. So that was $1,800 of that 132. The advanced radio communications quote was $45,000, and that went up from $30,000. And the explanation is that we added a tower up at the JRU tower. We he provided fiber, or he's gonna service the fiber optics network that was brand new. He expanded the radios from 6 to 8, and that amount, his quote was $45,000. I asked him if we could maybe get other quotes on that, and he said he tried to do that a few years ago, and the closest providers or the people that would service this it would be up at Bloomington or down in Evansville, and he got one quote out of Evansville. One of them, or the local one here, Jasper, can't remember. Yeah, Harmonic, yeah. And they said they're not interested, that it's beyond their work, that they would do. And so he went to Evansville, he said he got a quote, and it was almost 2.5 times what they wanted locally. And they said they would service it, it would be the next morning, and he says, Advanced Radio will be there and fix it, so. And then the $30,000 part of that 132 is called the Zetron service plan for the workstations. That's in there. The tire rental for Greener Road and St. Henry maybe is $30,500, and he said that sometimes stays the same, or every couple of years they'll raise that. So, but we're kind of stuck.
So Advance owns the tower, and we rent the tower.
He's saying that there's Fisher Electric is more involved in that tower, that Greener Tower.
Okay.
He said Advanced Radio, they just service it,
They just service
is what he said.
They own that, okay.
So that's probably that's an LLC company that owns, I think there's 2 or 3 investors in that, but I don't think Advanced Radio is. He never indicated that. And then he's saying that every Monday, that the Advanced Radio goes in both the towers, the one at St. Anthony and that one, runs the generator, starts the generator, and makes sure it's working, the emergency generator. And he's saying that that helps the county with the ISO ratings for the fire. And he said everybody gets a discount or some percentage off. And then this does, when I added it up, it does include some contingency, which he's saying is if something else goes wrong, he can't just have the quoted items. He needs some kind of variance in there. So that's what I came back with on that particular one. The other quote, the $140,000, he's saying it's the cost of the Lingo and the Matrix. I guess he pays his own phones, or he's going to, because he said he paid with Frontier. So he's saying that that's part of PSC, the fiber, the broadband coming into the facility. He's got GIS fees every month that he has to pay. He's saying that the 911 terminal system and the 911 state system is both per month that he has to pay a fee on. And then he's saying that he's got various other unknown expenses that he would like to keep the budget as it is. So, and he said, naturally, it's just like any other department. If he doesn't use it, it will go back to next year, go back into the 911 surcharge for state 911 funds. So, he's just saying if we cut it down to what he kind of knows or what he thinks he knows, then if something goes up, then he's not gonna have the money, he's gonna have to come in here. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but I think it's all gonna go back to in that particular case, go back. I think he asked if we could give him a year to run the operation, pinpoint the cost more exact, and then he thinks this could go down lower, the $140,000 that he's got in that line item. So that's what I found out.
That's a lot.
And it took more than 5 minutes to get done. But I feel comfortable. I don't think all the things I've worked with him out there, and he says again, I think he's conscious of how he spends county money. I really do. and you sit on the board with it. I mean,
He mentioned moving money to kind of save surcharge and put people there because, you know, their overtime was up and because they didn't have the employees in there and stuff to, they were training in a lot and they weren't leaving. So yeah, he's trying to make the best of a bad situation and try to do the best financially that he can. So he's just where he can.
I mean, what I've business dealings with, or, you know, through the jail construction,
Mhm.
you know, I think.
He tries to
He's very conscious.
make sure that it's something that's definitely needed and not some frills and extras. So
And he makes, you know, like we were saying the other night, I mean, he sometimes, but I think he's happy with, overall with the people he's got working and doing things for him, so. We can force him to make bids, but, you know, I think when we come in here, I think he could sell the commissioners on. It's kind of a unique thing because he's the one that this company has to service it. If you go out and get another guy, well, anything that's gonna go wrong is gonna probably cost the county a lot more money.
Take longer too.
Right, and he said he can't have that downtime.
Yeah.
You know, we can't wait till tomorrow morning. We have to get the thing going somehow. So, and then that's the only questions I had. I was gonna open it up again for other budget items if anyone has reviewed anything that you would still like to change. You know, we made some cuts and changes to a couple departments here. Did anybody have any other comments?
I do.
Okay.
We did work on the book today. I think you guys made about $143,878 in cuts. Now, with that being said, we don't have the subsidy for the hospital. That still has to be added. I do have another question on page 18 under the jail. There's a part-time cook / jailer. I didn't know if you guys wanted to separate that. We didn't work on that.
what page is that on?
Page 15 under the jail. It's towards the bottom, right above the little blue line, the second blue line. Cooks and program director part-time, because I think right now there's maybe,
Like to separate them shoe line.
well, we didn't know what you wanted because right now I think they've got a cook and some jailers in there, part-time jailers in there, so we
So
didn't
this
know.
is different than the cook full-time and the cook kitchen.
This is a
Full-time
part-time
kitchen,
line item,
Just a part-time.
and I think there's 4 people in there right now.
For cooks.
I think, no, one, I think it's a cook and, and some, and maybe just part-time jailers. I didn't know if you wanted to separate that kind of thing or put a cap on how many part-time jailers you can have, or,
That's a good question.
so that's something, you know, you might.
Our jailers have a program director, or cook line item. Shouldn't they have their own line item as far as part-time jailers and
Well,
stuff? Aren't they
That's my
paid-
question, because right
aren't they
now,
paid
it's all
differently?
under this line item.
Well, so you're,
And those are paid the same.
I would think they pay a different rate though.
I mean, they're different.
Part-time jailer is
Different.
part-time and cook.
Different job duty,
A
right?
lot of money for, you don't even know where.
so let's break them apart. Let's do that first of all. Full-time, I mean, cooks and part-time.
It says program director part-time, but I know there's some part-time jailers in there.
Should that-
Acting as a
Well, like,
program.
for example, one of them is a jailer that left and is now only working part-time to help with media. So she's under there, I think it's one of them.
Should
Well,
the
I know-
name get
I know
changed then, or?
Commissioner Blessinger asked about that line item, so that's why I'm bringing it up. So I don't know if the commissioners need to create, but it's a part-time.
Why would he need part-time jailers? I mean, you wouldn't be qualified to do that, would you?
Well, I think they created a part-time jailer for like somebody to help in the control room or help whatever, just on a part-time basis, but then they usually move to full-time. But like I said, right now, I know we have the one who is a media, she does the Facebook post, she's just part-time in that line item.
Shouldn't they be considered a C-pole 3 then, or something like that, because of what they're actually doing? They're not doing program director work, right? They're
Well,
jailers.
that's what I'm just bringing up, because
Because range is gonna be different for each of them. I mean, part-time probably have different responsibilities and stuff and have a different range, but I would think it should be its own line item.
You didn't, by chance, look, well, you did probably look, well, how that was a budgeted item last year.
Yes, it's been in there for a few years.
And, you know, it jumped,
As listed here, the way it's listed here.
and it jumped from 20,000 to 28,000 now,
Mhm.
which is a
40%.
Well, why don't we, does
I mean,
anybody, what if we just make a part-time cooks, you know, have a part-time cook? And then put the
I mean, we could,
program director separately.
and I don't even know if it's really a program director or if it's just part-time jailers.
Okay.
I think maybe it's something, I wanted to bring it to your attention, but I think it's something that we need to
So,
work on.
okay, so let's put part-time, what if we put part-time cook? And put, I'm wondering why we even have to raise that, I guess. Seems kind of crazy,
It is
way, it's way out of,
Last year was at 20,000,
Mhm.
and
no,
the year
it's
before.
28,000.
But last year it says it was vacant. If you look at the 24.
Scott
I
Hope
think I
just,
bought 23.
Scott Hope just emailed and said that 3,300 is for Sean for Astro Security.
Matter of fact,
For the, okay. The one that's listed as maintenance
That the,
for Astro.
So why did it go up to 28,000 from 20,000? Why wouldn't we just leave it at 20,000?
Can. That's sheriff put that in there, I guess. But what I'm saying is if we would still want to do it, part-time cook and part-time jailers, just make.
we can make
sure-
two different line items, you just have to tell me how to split them.
It shows vacant back in 2023 as well, and it was 2022, it was 20,000 as well, so if we.
So let's just leave it alone since it hasn't been used. Let's-
Well, I know there's probably 3 or 4 in it now,
And then part-time jailers.
But we don't know how
but they're
many,
part-timers.
how much would we need for the cook then, the part-time, the one part-time cook?
I don't even know if we have a part-time cook at the moment. I'll have to ask.
So then, when we split it, we're gonna have to change program director to jailer.
What she's saying, not to use the wording program.
Change the wording from
Yeah.
to
Part-time
program
jailer.
director, yeah.
Well-
From program director to part-time jailer.
You would tend to think, and part-time cook can. I think we just.
I think it's
split
more
it.
of a part-time line item.
Well, let's look at.
Let's just split it in half, 10 and 10.
Mhm.
Anybody got other thoughts?
Well,
You
I
want,
mean,
if there's
maybe
none
we
of
give
the
a little
one
bit
and
more
all
to
of
the-
the other, then they may need more than the 10, you know, if there's 4 in the jailer and then none in the cook.
Or give appropriate more of that money towards the jailers and the cook if there's 3 of those.
15-5 maybe, or,
I'm asking her.
We don't have enough
I'm
information.
asking Brooke.
I don't think we do know how much it's used or how much they think it's gonna be used.
We don't
but
have
what
enough
he
information.
says hasn't been used, this is the first time, it looks like, I mean, last 2 years hasn't been used. This year it is now.
It's been used this year, I know Chad asked about it.
So, what about eight for the cooks and 12 for the jailers? And then,
Well, at least we'll have
I
something to
mean,
go off of.
he could still, still come in and all as
You do it.
additional,
Transfer or something like that from one line
you know,
to the other.
transfer, maybe.
Yeah.
Let's do it that way, if they want to, if he wants to cook up. So so the part-time cooks is 8,000.
Okay.
And then the part-time jailers would be 12,000.
8 and 12?
Yes, just leave it at 20.
Okay, so we'll fix that.
I know we don't assume any, do you have anything else?
Um,
What was that number you said that we cut the budget?
143,000.
143,878 is what you cut out. Now you just did a little bit more, so But like I said, we're still missing, all the changes are here with the tabs.
And if we could, I know we're not gonna meet for a long time here. If there's something that desperately needs to be changed, is there any way you could email us that we could give you a verbal change approval? Just that we could just fire back to you all as the council
Now,
members?
The good thing is, I don't advertise the budget until after your next meeting, so we still have some time to change a
Okay,
few things.
but if something, I guess if it's something way out of line that we
Then
have to make it, so it doesn't mess your book up too bad.
If, they could give a consensus that I talked to you, and you know,
Either way, or I can let you guys in on it, or it doesn't matter.
but like I said, we won't finalize anything till after your next meeting.
So if you want to send it to me and I can send it out, and then see
I
if you agree or don't agree, then you can let me know.
Sandy, what was the figure into that number? You said the 140
Ambulance subsidy,
subsidy.
we don't have that yet, Ryan doesn't have that yet.
And what we just cut it, changed it to 152,333.
Pardon me, I'm sorry.
That 143,878 with what we just moved to
Oh.
28,000, it's now 152,333. But not counting the ambulance subsidy.
Thanks. Anyone else? Any changes? I slept with the book.
I got one, it's not really changed, but going forward on this line item in the health department and medical supplies,
What page you want?
20, there's a lot of people that, they're not opposed to us offering COVID and RSV vaccines, but they'd like to know how much the county taxpayers are contributing to those. Obviously it's a personal choice whether you get them, but if we got an advertising budget or something like we did in 21, or we're eating a lot more of the cost now that the federal government's out of it, if we could have this expense line item a little more broken down, because medical supplies is pretty vague to most taxpayers. It could be anything, and we'd like to at least have an idea of what we're spending. I think, assuming Sean's numbers are correct on how many people got the COVID shot, that's, if they were all DuBois County people, it was one shot, that's 6% of the population, so it's fairly sizable demand. I would say that we keep it, but we need to kind of know what we're spending on it. He gave us some numbers, but it doesn't really tell much of the story. And that does change in the health field, as Meredith can tell us what we contribute, but I'd like to know on that, so.
I'm here.
So do you want me to have him do a breakdown, do you want to report?
I want to know how many shots we give and what it costs the DuBois County taxpayer. What did we spend of our budget for the COVID and RSV shots?
I'm getting asked questions.
These are common things that people want to know. And
How many shots are given and what does it cost?
Exactly.
Cost to the taxpayers locally.
Yes.
Because that is paid for out of a tax fund, so.
Well, that's what constantly changes. The feds gave it to you for free 1 year, then this year you budget for it, this year you don't. I don't know, but the taxpayers of this county would like to know what's spent on those two things. That's what I talked to you about. It should be fairly simple to be able to show that.
Would you like him to come and give a report quarterly, annually,
He could
monthly?
talk about it to us if he's here already. It'd be nice to know. See if it's an uptrend or a downtrend, how much we have to cost share as a county for these shots. I know a lot of people would like to know.
The problem, when I asked him about that one time, he just said, well, Mike, you got insurance, but yours is you pay for your own. And somebody that doesn't have any money, they get theirs free.
Medicare changed it, I know, but
I'm just saying, because if you don't have the income, Then they give them to you free, just like a bunch of other stuff they give to you out there. I'm not
But
being
if we could get a
critical.
rough estimate of the cost of the taxpayer, that's why I'm getting asked about, that's why I'd like to be
I
able
mean,
to
that
report to them.
should be a simple
And
thing.
I think it's the same premise of what we're talking about with the sheriff. Well, it's a travel expense. Well, what is the expense? I don't know. Do you know what it is? Maybe medical supplies, are they tourniquets, or are they COVID shots? They want to know. And I'd like to myself. So.
Okay, that should be a simple thing for him to figure out, I think.
Okay, Brooke responded, there is one part-time cook, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 part-time jailers, but one is moving to full-time.
Let me get to that page, we can make it.
So
So there's one part-time cook, right?
there's one that is actually a part-time cook, the rest are jailers. And she listed 5 names, but she said one, she think quit, and one is moving to full-time.
So how many would that leave us? 3? Full-time jailers, that
For the moment,
roughly 3. So should we?
so it's really not a program director, or program, whatever, it's just a part-time line item.
So maybe we ought to readjust that money, like what you were saying, Doug, like 5 and 15, 5 for the cook,
Yeah.
and 15 for the jailers, if that's maybe we ought to do that. We need at least budget it that way. I think it's at this point, can't get detail because you don't know how many hours he's gonna have to work. At least we have money in there.
And then are you gonna cap it at a certain amount of people, or are you just gonna let it be however many he wants?
I kind of see that as micromanaging. I don't know how many does he need, I mean, that's the tough part here. I just
Well,
think
the
with
thing
the additional jailers, why, I don't see.
The
it as
thing I want you to realize is every time you have even if it's a part-timer, they may get an email address, they may, stuff like that. So you are having other expenses
Okay,
if they have that.
I follow you. And I mean, they would, this might be a dumb question, but a cook that's part-time, why would she need an email?
She may not get one, but a jailer probably does.
Even if they just work once every month or
Well,
something,
More than likely they do.
so they can keep them in contact. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just giving you examples.
What does the council feel? It seems like it's kind of micromanaging in some ways. I mean,
I think it's hard sometimes, you have to have a bank of people to call on to fill in, if somebody, they can't fill in a shift, that's tough, but I do see what Sandy's saying is about some of the indirect, I guess, costs, right, where maybe that kind of go alongside of it, but I don't know that I would necessarily have to have a cap on that, but I do understand the problem.
I think we should personally, when we get to that point, we should maybe have the sheriff.
We don't really know, we don't really know how many they're gonna have in there anyway, so how can we,
This is operations, this is between the sheriff and the commissioners, if per positions
they're
and things, I would
figure
say.
it out,
I mean, that's a good one, so we okay with maybe just having 2 line items, 5,000 for the cook and 15,000 for the jailers?
Mhm.
And if he has to have more jailers, then at least we could get a better explanation of why we need them, if we have to put more money. We'll probably shift money around here,
Mhm.
or ask us to do it.
Right.
I think that's the last of the budget that I have questions on. I did want to bring up a few additionals for next time, just to kind of give you aware of them. Wyatt will be asking for an additional for electronic monitoring. I think he's gonna be asking for a transfer of some money and then an additional $20,380, so it's $40,000 total. When they came and had the director and assistant director salaries changed to use up grant funds, that freed up this one, so they're gonna transfer that into the electronic monitoring and then ask for more to get the $40,000. So that one will be one. building insurance and vehicle insurance, I'm running short, and I'm probably gonna be needing about 50,000 more. The fountain, we have an endowment fund for the fountain, and I think Scott's gonna need an additional, to fix that, so we're gonna appropriate some money in that one. I think that's, and I'll be doing the two new, or the new jailers next meeting too, so. That's it.
The new jailers meeting, courthouse security and the 4 other ones.
Well, we already did the courthouse security, they're already in place.
Yeah, it's just.
So the new jailers that you
Yeah,
guys
that's
have
fine. That's
talked
fine.
about. So that'll be coming in the next meeting.
That's fine. Okay. Is that all you had, Sandy?
Yep.
Your thoughts were, Fisher Farms abatement hearing is, I think she put that on the minutes at 4:30 on that, August 26th. I just want to make sure everybody knows, or it was in the paper, but August 23rd at 12 o'clock noon, Duff Solar Park abatement hearing. Everybody's welcome to. That's a public meeting, and that's advertised, anybody can come to that. It's up in the assessor's office, up on the 3rd floor, anybody wants to come.
What date was that?
Yeah.
23rd.
August 23rd at noon. And,
Is it a public meeting, public hearing?
I think she advertises it. Lynn does.
It says in the assessor's office?
It's in,
Oh, is that that's your abatement meeting?
right, so our abatement meeting. Here.
Is it?
That the abatement committee's gonna meet and go over it's the abatement committee.
Yeah, we just created.
Right.
But
Noon
that's
on the
public?
23rd?
Yes,
Okay.
it's advertised.
Right, because it's a committee that's established and they have to let you know, but
Okay.
they'll go through it and score them and all that.
Noon on August 23rd
Right,
in the assessor's office.
upstairs, there's a conference room up there. Right across the hall from her.
Okay, gotcha.
So you're gonna score the application.
Yes, and then, I did forward that on Alex, that, to get rid of any kind of solar abatements.
Payment moratorium.
Yeah, so the attorney's got that in his hand. And I think, the advice, maybe to go through this one and then see.
Yeah, sure.
And then we can change the ordinance. I don't think we can change the ordinance in the middle of it.
No, I agree.
So, but that's a good thought. And I did forward it to him.
Did you have any idea, you kind of alluded to maybe an amendment versus the whole new ordinance, or is that what you were
I
thinking?
mentioned that. If we could just change it, I didn't bring that book along, but, we could just put it in there that it's not eligible for abatements in DuBois County. We could just add that and just change
I
it.
know we've had some discussion on that, and I think, in my opinion, if you just do an amendment, it sometimes can get lost. If you do the whole new ordinance, it's all together there.
I'm gonna send this to you. My friend on the Northern County Council, he did a whole new ordinance, and he sent me what they drafted, and I don't think I copied you, Sandy, but I'm gonna send it to you and see what you think, since you have a lot of insight on this. I will say, I was at the Lieutenant Governor debate yesterday, and solar tax abatements were one of the hottest topics they talked about, from northern Indiana to southern Indiana. They took at least 3 questions, or maybe 4 on them, and it will not go away, so we need to address it at least in some form or the other, whether we do anything or not, but it's a very hot topic, in rural counties especially.
So, can you elaborate a little bit more on that? Is
Yeah,
that,
I mean-
you're saying that, are they negative?
No, the county that my friend resides from was mentioned is passing that. They also have China ownership problems and Chinese-owned potential wind farms, which they are trying to work against. There's just a glut of these fly-by-night shell companies trying to put solar on these properties, or at least get a lease for it, then resell it into a secondary market. that really has no, even if solar panels would get put up, no one will ever do a proper cleanup, or it'll be sold 10 times by the time that comes around. There are some legitimate companies, but the basis of the debate was they don't deserve tax abatements because they're not net job creators long-term, and they're also not community-minded like the people that own and tend the land and that own businesses. So it wasn't a topic that anybody wanted to go up and champion real heavily at the lieutenant governor debate. That was what I got out of it.
Thanks for sharing that. That's good to, before these people, the landowners sign these leases, I mean, it would be, they need to give thought to that.
Yeah.
Because sounds good, but like you say, most of these companies are gonna be sold. They won't be here, normally speaking, so. But that's great points. That's all I had. I will open it up to the council. Anybody else have anything? Sandy, do you have anything? Otherwise, I think she indicated our next meeting's a long time off, as far as,
23rd.
September.
the public hearing is coming up, the next meeting's in September.
Well, next meeting is September 23rd, then your public hearing is October 9th, and then the adoption is October 28th. So
Thanks for putting that all in. So you and I gotta pass these on, but anyway, I'll entertain a motion and you close.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I will second that motion.
So, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Close the meeting. If you have to sign.
Yep, I'm around the restroom.
September 23rd is our next
Just long
meeting.
enough that it's.
you got your public hearings
Yeah,
for
I
the
got that.
abatements in August.
I've got 26, right?
Yes. August 26th.
So we do have a meeting
August 26th is for the abatement public hearing, and then you're gonna meet after that to decide after, because you have to have your public hearing and then a meeting after.
So it's a regular monthly meeting, or is it just the abatement?
It's just for the abatement.
And then let's